Okay, so now that we have our chart all finished, we'll go on to talking about, we'll just take a couple quick notes on 7.1, which kind of goes over the idea of the chart. So the sum of interior angles. So our goal is going to be to find the sum of the interior angles of any polygon. And use it to find unknown angles. So once we have the sum of the interior, we'll use it to find the interior angles. There will be unknown angles, and we'll be able to find them. Now, not all polygons are regular polygons, and we talked about what a regular polygon is, so we'll go ahead and write that down. So that way we have it in our notes. What was a regular polygon? All the interior angles are going to be the same. So it's a polygon that is equiangular. Meaning all angles are congruent or the same. And it's also equilateral, meaning all sides are also congruent. So, we already talked about how we can actually find the sum of the angles. So, we knew that how we filled out this chart is that the triangle sum theorem says what? What does the triangle sum theorem say? Yep, in a triangle that all the angles have to add up to 180. So then an example that we did on the front from that chart, if I draw, let's say, a pentagon here, a 5-sided figure, what I could do is break it apart into one triangle, two triangles, three triangles, and what happens is I have three triangles, and I can see that all the pink add up to 180. The green angles all add up to 180. And I can see that those blue angles all add to 180. So what I have here is 3 times 180, which gets me 540 degrees for the sum of all those interior angles of the polygon. So if we are ever in a situation where we don't have that chart handy, we can find it on our own by using this idea of breaking it apart into triangles. So the sum of the angles in a pentagon has to be 540 degrees. Okay. In a regular polygon, each angle has to measure what? How would I figure it out from 540? How many angles are there? 5. So you have to take the 540, divide that by 5 evenly, and we'll get that each of those angles has to be 108 degrees. Now, not all pentagons, though, are regular pentagons. So we might be given a situation, and I'm just going to draw a random one, where we're given a couple angle measures. Maybe we're given that that's a right angle, and that this one's 97 degrees, and this one's x, and this is x plus 5, and this one's 100 degrees. And I'm asked to find these unknown angles. Okay, so let me zoom in on this problem. The first thing that I'm going to do when I look at this problem is I want to know what is the sum of all the angle measures. So I do my trick and figure out how many angles are there, or how many sides. They're the exact same. So 5 angles or 5 sides is a pentagon. I already figured out that the sum of a pentagon, what is the sum of all the angles in a pentagon? 540. So what I like to do is I like to write it in the center, because I know that that shape, all the angles have to add to 540. So far, are you with me? Okay, well, I know that this one's 97. I know that that one's what? 90. I know that this one's 100. I don't know what these two are. It means I have to still find them. Okay? How can I find them? Okay, you want to subtract the 97 from 540? 287. Okay, so the 3 known angles, you could do it that way. You could say that these 3 known angles add to, what did you say, 287? 287 degrees. So you can take the 540 minus the 287. What do we get? $253. 10 minus 7 would be 3. 253? What do you say? Okay, 253. Okay, so then what do I know about the last 2 angles? Okay, so let me use a different color here. I know that this x and this x plus 5 have to add to 253. So if those 2 angles have to add to 253, how could I set that up? I know that x and x plus 5 has to equal 253. So set up your formula. Set up an equation. X plus x is 2x plus 5 equals 253. Subtract 5 on both sides. 2x equals 248. And what does x have to be? Okay, that tells us x, but it still didn't tell us our angle measures over here. So we have to go back and figure out what these angle measures are. So if this is x, what is this angle measure here going to be? 124 degrees for that one. What about this one here that's x plus 5? 129. 124 plus 5 is 129 degrees. So now I have all my angles labeled by just using that idea of what the sum is. Okay, that's one way you could have done it. Another way that people do this problem is they'll add up the 5 angles. So they'll write out 97 plus 90 plus 100 plus x plus 5 plus x has to equal 540. So they fill it out as the sum right away. They add up all 5 angles equals 540, and they solve from x right there. Okay. I don't care which way you use, as long as you can find the angle measures. Does that make sense? So if you turn the page, this is your 7.1 assignment. 1, 2, and 3, you're using the rules that we found, okay, that are at the bottom of the chart. So you're using those rules for 1, 2, and 3. Once you get to number 4, that's when you're actually applying these rules. So you're going to have to figure out, okay, well, what's the sum of all those angles? You might have to look at a linear pair here or there in some of the diagrams to figure out an interior angle. Okay. But you guys have quite a bit of time to work, so let's go ahead and get started on this.